Welcome back to another episode of Growth Through Ganja. Smoke with me, Miss Pearl. The next song off the Fall Off album is Legacy. This is my perspective on karmic relationships. So I've been reading this book here called In Focus Twin Flames. It says, karmic relationships, by contrast, are cosmic teachers that don't knock. They barge in. These unions are heavy with emotional contracts, often filled with sudden rage, intense attraction, and important lessons. They feel urgent and consuming, but are usually temporary. My karmic relationship lasted about 3 weeks, and I'm only saying relationship for it to fit in that category. So I'm gonna call this nigga Devin. I go out with a group of people. I'm all excited. I walk into this place, and immediately Devin sees me. I'm thinking, this is my twin flame, because karmic relationships can make you feel like that. We had some similarities, but as time went on in that short period of time, the red flags, it was like he was throwing them himself. That should have been the end all be all. See, a karmic relationship will have you rationalizing red flags. He called me and I was just ignoring the shit out of them calls. So the next day, he called me like first thing in the morning. Then he sent me a text message and he was like, bitch, answer the phone. My twin flame ain't never called me no bitch. So, well, at least not to my face, which has kind of been the standard. So, no. Welcome back to another episode of Growth Through Ganja. Smoke with me, Miss Pearl. Alright. So, a few things before I jump into the next song off the Fall Off album. As I'm wrapping up most of the songs on this album, I need to revisit Who the Fuck Is You briefly. So I know that there are some people who watch the videos on YouTube, and then there are some people who listen to me through streaming. When I mentioned my daughter falling down the steps at her dad's house, I mentioned her fingers and not her fingernails. So in the video, you can see where I corrected it, but for anybody who listens to the episode streaming, it was the fingernails, just to clear that up. End up with a head cold, and that was pretty, I just needed time to deal with that. And then as I'm getting through the head cold, I get hit with like a double migraine yesterday. Or maybe it was one. I don't know. It felt pretty back to back. Once I woke up and saw that I could partially see my hand, I was like, oh. And it's like 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I was able to see just enough to get my daughter's lunch ready, because she had a field trip that she had been talking about. Plus, she had a little outfit on, so she's definitely feeling like she got to get there. Okay? And get her breakfast together. I was able to see enough just to get those two together. Then I came and I laid down. I set a timer, laid down for 30 minutes. Got up. Boom. We're getting ready for school, and I could see everything. I didn't feel no pain, but I had already decided I don't think I should go to work because this might not be the end of it. So, get her to school, pull over to the side of the road, hit the blunt a few times, because a migraine can have delayed. The pain can be very delayed, and then sometimes it can be instant. So I get back home. As soon as I lock the door, put my keys up, the migraine returned, and it was intensified. Okay? Like my face started hurting instantly. I ain't never felt that before. The left side of my face started hurting. So I was like, all right, while I can still see, let me go ahead and take me an edible. Let me go ahead and schedule this message to the group chat. And then, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. My head was throbbing. I mean, I can't even explain how bad that joint was throbbing. On top of having a head cold. So I'm coughing. And imagine your brain is throbbing. And now you got a cough. So now your brain got to hit your skull. And it's just making it just way worse. But hey, it is what it is. My migraines are triggered by smell, so I kind of knew it was coming. It's just you never know when. Like I kind of felt it was coming, and I haven't had a migraine since I feel like it was last summer. I'm feeling like it was like last summer, which is pretty good. Anyway, let me go ahead and hop into this before I head to the gym because I just can't sit around. And I feel like I've taken time to take care of myself. Now it's time to get back to doing my thing before I gotta head out the door. The next song off the Fall Off album is Legacy. This is my perspective on karmic relationships. So I've been reading this book here called In Focus Twin Flames by Sabina Strauss. All right. It says, karmic relationships, by contrast, are cosmic teachers that don't knock. They barge in. These unions are heavy with emotional contracts, often filled with sudden rage, intense attraction, and important lessons. They feel urgent and consuming, but are usually temporary. Let's talk about it. So I'm going to talk about my situation, and then I'm going to talk about another situation that I heard recently. My karmic relationship lasted about 3 weeks. And I'm only saying relationship for it to fit in that category because no, we weren't together and no, he ain't getting nothing. So I'm going to call this nigga Devin. Okay. I'm going to use Devin for what happened in my karmic relationship. It was January 2025. Hold on. 24, 25. Might have been 24. Yeah, okay. Let me go back. It was January 24. I go out with a group of people. I'm all excited because, I was in this relationship with my ex, just miserable and whatever the fuck was happening with that shit. And then, when I finally found peace within myself, I was like, hey, I'm ready to go out and just, be a peaceful person, I guess. So then, I walk into this place and immediately Devin sees me. And I see him and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my energy started shifting inside me. I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So something says, go ahead and look. Just go ahead and look. So I looked and Devin is fine. But I keep looking at Devin and I'm like, something seems very familiar. Now, before I met Devin, randomly, shit just started popping up on my YouTube algorithm about twin flames. Just randomly. I'm thinking this is my twin flame because karmic relationships can make you feel like that. So I figured he probably was because we had some similarities and we knew the same group of people. But as time went on in that short period of time, the red flags, it was like he was throwing them himself. And I went to go see Devin twice. So the more I kept looking at him, the more he started to remind me of other people I had been with. So the number one thing was the same haircut, hairstyle as my ex. If my ex was a hood nigga with a different skin tone, American, that would have been him. Devin was that version of him. And then different angles of his face, he would look like other people. And the second time I saw Devin, maybe the third, my energy just would not settle. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. So for me, a karmic relationship is like adding an unnecessary piece of furniture in a space in your home just because that space exists. You just want to put something there. You don't have no real reason for even needing to fill that space. It's a desire or an interest with no base. It's a just because thing. And it can be tricky because of timing. Like, it was crazy when I met Devin. So some red flags about Devin. No car. Now, it's not a deal breaker, but if you're not even talking about getting one and then like you're active about it, then, you know, his stories didn't add up to his lifestyle. So he had kids with two other people. And I was trying to, so it was like he was feeling something, he was feeling sad about a certain situation with one child. But I don't know, it was like he was lost, like literally lost. Because it didn't seem like, I don't know. I would think that that would be your focus if that's what you wanted, but at the same time, he had just like broken up with his girlfriend, like maybe a week before we saw each other, 2 weeks before we saw each other. And for me, he was given like, once y'all get together, he want to move in type thing. And then he ain't have no kids with the ex. And I'm like, okay, y'all didn't have any kids together. Did she have any kids? Like, it was just things that weren't adding up. Then he had to tell me certain things that he smashed somebody that I'm very familiar with, and I think that that should have been the end all be all. But it was something that happened before we met, so see, a karmic relationship will have you rationalizing red flags. And my biggest fear with relationships is having a third baby father I don't like. Again, when I went to see him after that, every time I saw him, it was like something else about another female. And it was just like, maybe because, what I did learn was that I didn't ask enough questions. But if every time you see a nigga, he's always talking about another female, that nigga right there, and then the fact that he just broke up with somebody. So it's like, no. Devin's vocabulary was a red flag. When some people are like super hood, It's just, I don't know. I think I also didn't ask about education, or I don't know. I don't know. But that's an important question. If you at least got through the 12th grade, like graduated high school, okay. But I'm not sure how far Devin got because I didn't ask, but his vocabulary was a red flag for me. His insecurities and toxicity. I remember one time, I think he said he wanted to FaceTime me or whatever. And I don't know what happened, but whatever happened, he like blew up and was like, "You with another nigga, blah, blah." And I'm just like, what? So when he FaceTimed me, right? When I answered it, his face was close as shit to the camera. Remember how Edna was? Remember how Edna was? He was just like that. And it was so wild. And I was holding my niece like, God damn, what the fuck? What the fuck? He was like, oh, you are what you need. Yeah, nigga, like, and I could tell, like, by his vocabulary, he's never been with anybody outside of the type of bitches that he was used to fucking with. His relationship timelines were a red flag for me because that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of people to be going through, and I never heard him say shit about him living on his own. And recently I heard a story about a woman who said she was on the Tonight's Conversation podcast. She asked the question, is she selfish for wanting a nigga when she got 3 kids by 3 other niggas? She got three? She got four. Is it four? She got 3 or 4 kids by 3 or 4 other niggas. And this nigga like her and he ain't got no kids, so is she selfish for wanting to still be with him? Bitch, his mother should have fucking hit this nigga upside the head with a fucking. His mother needs a stone cold stun his ass at this point because he's fucking tripping. And then she's like, all my other baby daddies, I was the first one to give them a child. And it's like, what? Like, bitch, you sound like a professional baby mother. Because then she was bragging about how she get $800 for each kid. So when do you have time to raise these kids if you just having sausage parties left and right? And then you bringing these niggas around the kids? And then when they asked about the previous father, she like had her nose turned up and shit. So you got into probably a karmic relationship because that's what it sounds like when things are intense and it's this attraction and you're all excited and blah blah blah. And then like what's the timeline between I think we don't ask enough questions in relationships. And if a motherfucker is offended by the question that you asking, that's another red flag. Like give yourself a cap with red flags. And stop fucking with people so soon. Like Devin really thought we were supposed to smash. That shit was wild. I was just like, what? Like I just met you last week. What the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I was supposed to get you. And he had already fucked somebody else, and the bitch had called my phone. Probably to tell me about it. Bitch, once you got with him, that was your nigga. Or whatever y'all had going on, because he's returned to sender immediately. I don't even want the money back. If I spend any money, I don't want it back. But yeah, I don't know. Watch yourself out there. Take care of yourself. I'm practicing detachment. So for me, I can't be getting wrapped up in somebody. I just met them and they have all these expectations. That too could be a red flag. That's wow. I don't know. Maybe you got something from it, maybe you didn't, maybe you'll be back next week, maybe you won't. Either way, this has been Growth Through Ganja. Smoke with me, Miss Pearl. Welcome back to another episode of Growth Through Ganja. Smoke with me, Miss Pearl. I'm gonna get straight into it. This is probably gonna be the only song I do this with off the Fall Off album, but this is Legacy Part 2. I want to talk about how things ended between me and Devin and that karmic interaction. So the day that the broad had called me, that shit, I don't know, that shit really blew the fuck out of me. So I was texting him all kinds of wild shit. I was like, the sausage party was probably good, and just being, I don't know. But he called me and I was just ignoring the shit out of them calls. So the next day, he called me like first thing in the morning. Then he sent me a text message and he was like, bitch, answer the phone. So I went outside and called this nigga back, and it was just a fucking shouting match after that, which was wild. Like thinking back on it. But I don't know, he wasn't used to females that ain't got another nigga in the back pocket. And yeah, once the text message with the text message first thing, that was it for me. His thing was he couldn't understand how I was the only person he was talking to. And then I couldn't understand why you run such a sloppy business, because so obviously, nigga, you spent the night over there. To my knowledge, he wasn't talking to, but I guess we decided we really didn't hate each other because of how we met and who we knew. But he said, we both came to the conclusion that it was too soon, and which it was, because he was dirty to me after that. It was like, you're not cute no more. It was like when Woody ripped his arm a little bit, when Andy was holding him, his arm ripped, his shoulder ripped a little bit, and then Andy looked at the toy and was like, I don't want to play with you anymore. And then Woody fell down that long ass rabbit hole. It was like that. Because, oh, that's what it was. I had called the nigga that morning because the bitch had also texted me. And she had sent me, she was like, no, we ain't, bitch. Something like that, to a response to whatever I had sent him. So I called him and he did not answer. So I was confused because, I don't know. I was just confused because that wasn't where the conversation was prior or leading to. So yeah. And I had to think, like, would I really want, like, I would be mad as shit if I added that nigga to my resume. Oh yeah, nah. To possibly, it's always a chance. Every time you lay with somebody, there's always a chance that they could get pregnant. And then the thing is, my energy just, it would not settle. I remember sitting with him and my energy was so far to the left. I had to I was like, is it the weed? Like, what's happening? And I was just like, yeah, no. So I don't hate Devin. And I know I may see him again because of the people that we know, which is cool. And, no hard feelings, but no thank you. And that's another red flag people ignore is when people do shit that all of a sudden make them ugly. If they ain't cute no more, mm-mm. You can throw that in the trash. And people will let those few weeks lead them straight to the bed. And for me, talking about the lady in part one of Legacy, I would be mad as fuck if my son came back home and said, "Hey, mom, this is my girl," and then his girl got she got 2, 3 by 2 or 3. No, right then and there, no. He gonna have to try it again. He gonna have to try it again. And I've heard stories of older people taking advantage, older women taking advantage of younger men. And then that should be crazy because that bitch gets a little too old to be raising your young ass kids. You young enough for your young kids, and she too old for your young kids. Your young ass and your young ass kids. That's a tough one. That's a tough one right there. I've seen it in reverse. I seen a nigga say he just was like, no. He was so old, he was like, no, I can't. And the girl had twins, and she was significantly younger than him. Karmic relationships are not relationships you want to have a kid come out of. Like, if your energy, see that we got to stop collecting red flags and we got to put a cap on fucking red flags. Like, if you have a child, ask your child, would I want my story to be coming out of their mouth? How would I feel? Because again, if you have 4 kids by 4 niggas and you still out here dating, when do you have time? What does your time raising your fucking children look like? And karmic relationships are like big tests. Those are the ones that really test you. And if you gotta go through all that trial and error and all that, and you just met this person, nah. Yeah, nah. Did Devin reach out to me after that? Yeah. Did I think I was gonna see Devin whenever? I mean, I don't know. I probably did. Thinking I was, go out and what if he's there? And I guess it was because of the people that we know. So, yeah, but definitely not. My twin flame ain't never called me no bitch. So, well, at least not to my face, which has kind of been the standard. So, yeah, no. But some of y'all love toxicity. Or y'all just don't, y'all so toxic that these red flags are just normal to you, and that is a fucking sickness. And y'all be passing the sickness down from generation to generation. So yeah, nah. Recognize the signs. You ain't even gotta go to therapy if you don't want to. You can pull the shit up on YouTube University. Because some of y'all be, I don't know. Y'all be letting these Sheen outfits lead y'all to child support court. Some of y'all have done some fucked up things in relationships, or y'all say y'all done moved on and learned these lessons. A karmic relationship comes when you think that you've learned enough lessons to go ahead and move on. That's why it's such a test. Because it's going to see what you're actually going to stand on. If you're going to stand on business with making sure that the next time around, can't nobody fucking play with you. And please, having a karmic relationship on your resume, on your body count, I couldn't imagine walking around with that man's energy in my body. After my awakening, fuck no. Hell nah. Mm-mm. And don't be quick to bring people around your kids when you're not even sure about the motherfucker. Kids don't need to see you with a bunch of uncles and a bunch of girlfriends. Like, it's just not a good look. I think that we need to think a little deeper. And we did whatever you trying to get from somebody else, give that shit to yourself first. And if you ain't giving it to yourself first, you damn sure not ready. A karmic relationship with you will feel like this is it. Because now you can fill in the void. You can fill in that empty space that I talked about in the first one. You can fill in that empty space with something just because. Now, how fucking stupid does that sound on a scale of 1 to 10? Hurry up. Tell me. Well, whatever. What do I know? Maybe you got something from it. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you'll be back next week. Maybe you won't. Either way, this has been Growth Through Ganja. Smoke with me, Miss Pearl.